Hey guys, Alfredo with Alfredo's Auto Glass. Today I want to show you my techniques on how to use wire and fiber line cutout removal tools. So let me put the camera on my head and I'll walk you through my techniques with this many different tools. I don't have my Python here, but I used to own a Python. So let me start from left to right. There's no order on what's best, and so this is the way I set it up. So I'll start with the this is the Raptor. Okay, so this one has a power vacuum, so you turn this little button on and it vacuums to the glass. It takes just maybe like 9 seconds, 11 seconds, and it's fully vacuumed to the glass. So that's one beneficial factor on this suction cup, the Raptor. Plus, what you want to look for, it's for the suction cup, so once it vacuums, how far away is the fiber line from the glass. And I'll explain a little bit later what the difference it makes. Right over here we have the Viper. Here's the Viper. As you can see, it sets higher where the fiber line gets feed to the tool. This one you would have to use the sockets over the plunger to vacuum. This one goes right into the tool. The Viper, it's a very useful tool. You would have to set this tool higher. I will explain once I go inside of the vehicle and explain you the technique. Here is the Glasswell, the single cut system. This is from Glasswell, and this is very heavy duty. Very you can see it's a heavy tool, and the Spider. All these tools, guys, work perfectly fine. You could achieve the job with every single one. Of course, there is the benefits on this one being very, very low to the glass. This one you could use fiber line, and you could use a wire. Same thing with the Viper. You could use both. This one you are only able to use the fiber line. So I mean, you could have two tools, you know, one to cut fiber line and only, and one that could cut with a wire and fiber line. So I mean, I'm a guy of all tools. I love tools. So I just to have fun, sometimes I use one, sometimes I use the other one, make my job fun and easy. So on when you insert the tool, okay, so on all of them you could start from left to right, from from the driver's side to the actual passenger side. So you could set up the tool so that it goes the one way. I like to start, let's say if I'm using the single cut system and the WRD Spider, I like to start on the driver's side. So you will get a little bit of the tool, and I'm gonna use this fiber line to demonstrate. I'm not going to actually put a tool. So what you would do, you start up, I would say about a foot, so you could grab it. So what I like to do is hold it like this. You could even hold it with your thumb here if you like this, and you'll feed it through. So when you're feeding it through, you would like to find a space where you're not going to damage anything. On some vehicles, you're going to have the body of the vehicle very close, very limited access to where to put the fiber line through. So find the best spot where you're not going to go too deep and break this or damage the vehicle. So once you feed the line through, this is very, very, very critical. So let's say number one, the fiber line, when you're feeding it through, okay, that you don't get anything caught on the inside like a lever or something and break it. So this is on wire or fiber line. When you're doing this, like right now, let's say I'm just doing this and let it fall down like that. Okay, so if you don't check which I'm sure they happen right now, and it sure did. So I'm gonna leave this here so that I could show you underneath exactly what happened. So there's a reason why I removed the glass already. So the glass is already cut. Yes, and don't ask me which fiber line I use to remove it. I mean, which system I use to remove it. So I taped the glass down. I'm gonna tape it down just a little bit more to be on the safe side. That way it doesn't move on me, it doesn't slip. But there's a reason why I cut it out. So I'm gonna lift this up so that you could see what's under. So as you can see, the fiber line actually went under the pinch weld. And if I start cutting, I would actually start cutting into that metal. So you could damage the car really serious. So my recommendation is, when you're starting the fiber line, like when you're fitting it through, come like this and feel it, that you're going right between the urethane and the glass, that you're not going on the actual pinch weld. So let's take a look again. Okay, so it fell off, but that's because it's already cut. But that's where you want it. You want it to be between the glass and the urethane, not the metal, not the frame of the vehicle. So that's one tip that is very, very important. All right, so now let's go on the inside. Let's go on the inside of the vehicle and talk about positioning of the tool. Okay, so let me finish this, that I'm still here. So you'll wind either the fiber line or the wire all the way around the vehicle. Okay, so on some vehicles, if you're doing an R&I on a back window and you want to save the molding, go under the molding. So you'll have different tools that the actual tool comes with, so that you're able to tuck it in underneath the molding. And once you get to the corner right here, so what I like to do when I get to a corner like this, I pull hard. That way it doesn't come back out. Same thing with this corner. So you'll go under the corner and you'll pull hard. That way it tucks in under the glass, because sometimes it'll get caught in between the butyrol, in between the two layers of glass. It'll get caught in between, and you start pulling the glass apart from each other. So be careful with that. Make sure it's tucked in underneath. On a lot of vehicles, you're gonna have the gravity stops, the hangers. So for those, you got to be very, very careful. What I like to do, I like to either go from the inside. Let me grab two more tools, because these are all useful. So, oops. Okay, so you'll go on through the inside of the vehicle, and you would go on the inside like this. On the driver's side, on the passenger side, is very easy because you don't see the steering wheel is not on your back. So just bring the headliner down a little bit. I hope the camera is focused correctly. And I like to, this is my favorite one. I go with the little tack puller and remove the clip. And once you remove the clip, it would actually fall down most of the times, like that. It'll fall down, and that will give you a nice clean cutout with your fiber line or wire, whatever you want to use. That way you don't have a chance of it breaking on you. Okay, so that's one tip. All right, so now I want to show you how to position the tool. So let's say right now on the Spider and the single cut system, my Raptor or the Viper, let's say, or whatever other cutout system tool you have, like if I started it on that side and I wind up the fiber line or wire towards my right from the inside, that means that on the inside of the vehicle, like let's say let me keep using my fiber line over here so I could show you. So let's say I have right now the Raptor. Okay, so you see that it's wind up towards my right. So on the actual Raptor, you would want the tool to turn towards the right. Okay, so that would mean, so every time you turn, see, like right here, it will be turning up. So that's not what I want, correct? I want it to go towards the bottom. That way the angle ends up in the bottom of the tool. Okay. And I'm winding it incorrectly. So you would want to give it a couple of turns, and this one has a little slot where you put it through and you tie it down. So on this one, I would put this section up here as slow as you could possibly can. And the reason why, I'm gonna go on the outside and show you, okay? But this is how I would start. Like if I were to insert the fiber line through here, I would start cutting from here to my left. But right now, the fiber line, it's fed through the driver's side, and I'm gonna have to start pulling it this way. So in this case, it would go the other way around. Like let's say if I were be using the Raptor and I started it from where I started it right now. So I will use the fiber line, and it will be on the bottom, so that every time you turn, let me turn it on. I hope I don't make it confusing. So that every time you turn, it's going through the bottom of the tool, not the top. You don't want it to come this way. You want it to come through the bottom, and you'll be every turn it cuts on the bottom. Okay, so that will be with the Raptor and with the Viper. So let's say you're using the Spider, or you're using the single cut system. In this scenario, let's say you have it right here. So you would want the tool not to be in an angle, to look straight at where you're cutting. So you see this line? So you want that straight looking at where you're cutting. And I would always suggest to go as slow as you could possibly can, because when you go as low as you possibly can, your angle, it is very narrow. So I will explain. Okay, so let's say I like the way I started right now. So the fiber lines wind up all over underneath, and then the one that is on the inside, it's going to go that way. So if I have a really nice angle, very low, like so, the way it's cutting right here, it's cutting very sharp. It has all the tension towards cutting. If I were to put the tool way up here, now the angle, it's not, now you're grabbing more urethane at a time, so it's struggling to cut through the urethane. Even so, let's say if I have a really straight angle, now if I want to cut this way, I'm actually pulling the entire fiber line from down up, and I'm not really cutting much. So your angle is extremely important. the lower the better. So let's say I already cut this, it's cutting here, it's cutting here, and I already cut all the way to here. Okay, so now the fiber line is going to be right here. So a lot of people with the spider, they go they pull it too much, and they crack the spider on the inside, because now you lost the angle. So now you didn't lose the angle on the fiber line so much, because you're still thinking, oh well, I'm as low as possibly can, but guess what, your tool did not turn, and that's on the actual spider. If you were using the Raptor, then you'll be perfectly fine, because remember, it's in a circle, so it's not going to damage. But still, on both, you lost the angle, because now it's straight. Now you're pulling the urethane up instead of cutting the urethane in an angle. So now I would reposition the tool. I'm going to give you an example where that fiber line would be right now. So let's say I already cut with this spider all the way through here, and this is the fiber line that's going under the windshield. You see the angle of the spider? So now I'm going to damage the tool, and I'm not going to cut anything whatsoever. So this will be the perfect time to reposition the tool. So you would come and either put it this way, which I like to do myself personally. I don't mind moving it here and then moving it here. Because the reason is because remember, the lower and the not only the lower towards the bottom of the glass, but as well as the tool itself, the lowest. So if you could achieve that, the lowest, that should be your goal. So now, if you see through the outside, see, it's like you're pulling, so it cuts really easy. It'll cut through really easy. But guess what? Once again, you get to a straight angle, and this is why I said a straight angle. Straight angle. So then it becomes difficult for the tool again. So you would have to reposition the tool once again, so that you're cutting. This might be sometimes a difficult cutout. Your corners will be a difficult cutout for that reason. Okay, so I talked about those two tools, correct? So the single cut and the spider. So now moving to let's say you have a wire, okay? Well, the exact same thing is going to happen to the wire. Once you have that angle, let's say on the Raptor right now, I have it here, and once the same thing, once I get down to that angle, I'm gonna stop, okay? And I like the fact that this is very close to the to the glass, so you'll start making your cut, and they'll start cutting the fiber line the same way that the one that I showed you earlier, and then you will reposition the tool here. See, on this one, I wouldn't have to put it here and then here. On this one, I could just put it right here in the corner, as close as possible. As close as possible to the corner, and start ratcheting. A lot of people prefer the ratcheting over the drill, because you feel every cut that you're doing. So that would be your choice, whatever tool you want, but I would definitely highly recommend any of these tools. So once you would come up to here, like once again, if you already cut all the way up to here, now you're just pulling the urethane inside, you're not cutting it. So you would once again, because now the fiber line, let's say you cut all the way to here, so now the fiber line is going to be like this, but through the inside, not through the outside. It's going to be right there. So you would have to once again reposition your tool. And same thing on the on this end. The good thing about the Raptor is that if you go over the fret line, there's no problem. It has continuously vacuum power. So same thing once again, you would want that angle, because remember, this is the one that's going through the outside, and let's say this is the one that's on the tool. So this is the perfect angle that you always want, like this, like you're cutting straight, not if you're cutting like this. This is the fiber line and you're cutting like this, that puts a lot of stress on the tool. That's why you would want this angle, sharp angle, and that'll cut through the urethane really easy. Okay, so now that once you get to the clips, so like let's say I already come all the way over here, and once again I have that angle, I would reposition the tool as high as possible, and then this will start cutting, and then I'll have at one point I'll have a little straight angle, but that's the only way, and that's with every single tool. So you just have to cut through it, and it's very small, so I would just put the tool as high as possible and make your cutout. And once you get to this point where you're gonna come to the clip, I would, actually, before I continue, at any time you want to protect the vehicle, so either you have this from equalizer to protect the edges here, here, and they also have one here that would actually protect the I don't see it here at the moment, so I don't want to looking for it, but I know it's in my van for sure. I have another case for the Viper, so I'm sure it's there. But anyways, you have like a little like this, but it's folded in. That one's very useful for these corners because it has like an extra lip at the end that tucks in very nice on the corners. So you will use that, and always try to have the fiber line as close to the glass as possible. The reason is you don't want to cut between, let's imagine this is the urethane and this is the glass. You don't want to cut right through the middle of the urethane, just like you wouldn't want to do with a cold knife. You want to find that sweet spot right next between the glass and the urethane. That way you have that scissor cutting mechanism, and it's like a sharp end, very sharp, to cut that way. So at all times try to have the fiber line very, very close to the glass. I love using this tool. This is very helpful for me because sometimes I stick it in and push it. This angle helps me keep the fiber line tucked in really nice underneath. You have to remove those clips, and you would have to be careful for the cables. When you do have electrochromatic mirror, you have to be careful that the cables are hanging. You tuck it in really nice behind it, get everything out of the way, and make your cut. So let's say I already cut this, and I already cut this. Okay, here are a few of my tricks and my tips. And this is with any of the tools. So I've been using all this one. So now it's a turn for this one. So on this one, the fiber line will come out through here. So instead of coming all the way to this corner, sometimes when I'm cutting right here, what I do, I come down all the way down here. What that gets me, it cuts me this whole nice angle because the fiber line has a nice angle, and it's just my job to push it against the glass. So I'll be able to cut from here all the way over here and all the way to here where I lose my angle. So that's a very useful tip. And as you can see, it's not all the way down here, so you could use that with the Raptor, with the Viper, with Python, whatever tool you want to use. You'll be perfectly fine to do that. And then once you come down here and you already cut all the way through this end, and you have a straight angle once again, because now it's going to go down straight. So now you will reposition the tool somewhere down here, and that way you finalize your cut throughout the entire windshield. Okay, so the way on some, like let's say And that would actually work on any tool. Your clamps, okay, these are your clamps from Equalizer, from the glass wheel shortcut system, single cut system, and WRD Spider. With the Equalizer Viper and the Equalizer Python and Equalizer Raptor, they actually recommend you sometimes, once you're going to finalize your cut, to put your clamp on the inside. And that's actually a good idea. It actually led me to one of my own techniques when I did one of my videos on the single cut system, that I start with the beginning on the suction cup on the inside. That's a different technique. I will make videos of every individual tool, that way you get the best out of your tool, but for now I want to talk an overall video, that way you get to see how it works when you're using a fiber line or a wire. So going back to the clamps, so pretty much you go all the way around, and the other end of the wire, either the wire or the fiber line, like let's say you end up over there, if this is how you did it all the way around, you put the tool as low as you can, clamp it down, turn it a couple of times, tighten this down, and that would hold the other end of the fiber line or the wire. So I will show you more techniques on how to use every tool and get the best out of it. But now let me show you what it looks like underneath when you do use a fiber line. I really hope this is really helping you guys. It really helps me. There's a lot of advantages using this fiber line cutout tools. Sometimes where there's really no space for a hand tool, this is where these tools come into place, and they're very helpful, especially on a tough cutout. Let's say on a Ford truck, you have the wire, man, it works awesome. So let me go back, put this on here. All right, so you will see what it looks like underneath. And this little boy catch my attention. Yes?
Are you a YouTuber?
Yes, I am a YouTuber.
What's your YouTube channel?
Alfredo's Auto Glass. I have two channels, Alfredo's Auto Glass, Repairing Corona, or Alfredo's Auto Glass, Educational Videos and Tips.
Okay.
And I'm here in Corona, bro, so check it out.
Yeah, I will.
Subscribe. All right, guys, so I wanted it to remove the glass as soon as possible, that way it wouldn't slip on me. So I thought he was asking for a ball, but actually asking about my YouTube channel. All right, guys, so when you use a fiber line or a wire to remove it, as you can see, I left a really thick of urethane, which is a big plus for me because it will be easier for me to remove it with my BTB. So I actually have something that I could cut. So that's the benefit, that when I did use the tool to cut out the glass out, I was always pushing the fiber line as high as up as possible towards the glass, because if you let it dig in, then you start digging in too low, and then it'll be difficult for you to remove the urethane. On some cases, that's the only way sometimes, unfortunately, because I have encountered that. Even if I tried, it still happens. But as you can see, when you could do it, do it. And so that's it, guys. I hope I was of some help. Guiding you through this fiber lines, wire cutout removal tools, and it's helpful to you. God bless you, and subscribe and hit that thumbs up if you like my video. God bless.